Governor Walz just gave a pitch-perfect speech in Omaha, Nebraska in front of a packed audience. Governor Walz is actually from Nebraska, and in this speech where he shredded Donald Trump and JD Vance, he told the crowd, look, we all know that Donald Trump is not like us. Here, play this clip.
Now look, we're positive, but I think we all know Donald Trump sees the world a little differently. You think he would understand the importance of Carhenge as a historical relic? The British made a replica of it out of stone. It's so important, so just so we know. Or do you think he would know the joy of tubing and swimming the Niobrara as we do in the summer? And this one's for the gray hairs in this room. You think that guy could understand the pure joy of pre-gaming at sidetracks before a Husker Sooner game? All I can say about that, too, is I'm glad there weren't video cameras around at the time. So we've been there. Look, in Nebraska, you got a slogan here. Nebraska, it's not for everyone. Well, it sure ain't for Donald Trump, I'll tell you that.
And then Governor Walz pivots and talks about JD Vance and says, do you think JD Vance knows one damn thing about Nebraska? Play the clip.
And this idea about knowing us, let me ask you something on this. Do you think JD Vance knows one damn thing about Nebraska? He's going to be here next week. You think he's ever had a runza? You think he's ever had a runza? That guy would call it a hot pocket. You know it. Every one of you in here know it. A damn hot pocket.
Governor Walz then says, do we really need somebody like that lecturing us here in Nebraska? Play the clip.
Look, folks, in the heartland and in Nebraska and in Minnesota, we don't need a Yale-educated philosophy major backed by billionaire venture capitalists to tell us who we are. We know who we are. We know who our neighbors are.
I just want you to take a look at this crowd. It's quite the difference compared to JD Vance's empty parking lots that he's been speaking in front of. Here, just watch this as Governor Walz entered to give his speech today. Play the clip.
Wow. Well, hello, Nebraska. So,
Governor Walz, in an obvious troll to Donald Trump and JD Vance, then talked about the crowd size at this Omaha, Nebraska event. Play the clip.
You might have seen, things got pretty exciting for me over the last 10 days, but not just for me. If you didn't notice, a few people showed up in Philly last week. And then about 12,000 showed up, many thousands walking for miles in the heat to a field in western Wisconsin. Then at that time, the largest rally of the campaign showed up in Detroit, Michigan. Donald Trump said it was AI. You know what won't be AI? Their ballots come November will not be AI.
Governor Walz then talks about how Vice President Kamala Harris has brought joy to the campaign and said, look, hard work is good work is hard work, and you can do it also with joy and kindness. Here, watch this.
As the First Lady said, you can do the work in front of you, and hard work is good work, but you can do it joyfully. You can do it with decency. You can do it with kindness.
Governor Walz then talks about the movement that Vice President Kamala Harris and her supporters are building together, and that he's just grateful to be a part of that pro-democracy community that's fighting for our democracy. Play this clip.
Went on to Arizona to have the largest rally that we're told, the largest rally in Arizona history was there. And then get this, in Nevada, it was 109 degrees. 12,000 people showed up for that event. 4,000 people waited in line. 4,000 people waited in line. That state organizer named Shelby, they didn't just show up at a rally like this. 5,000 of them signed up to door knock, to phone bang, and to do the work. Now Shelby ended up going to urgent care to get an IV because it was 109 degrees out. She knows what this is about. She knows what's at stake. Look, those tens of thousands across this country showed up for the very same reason that you took. You could have been anywhere on a beautiful Nebraska Saturday in late summer, but you chose to be here. For the most beautiful and simple reason, you love this country.
Governor Walz then talks about how Vice President Kamala Harris brought joy back to this country and how important that is.
I have to tell you, from her first day as a prosecutor, and then as a district attorney, and then as the Attorney General of the state of California, a United States Senator, and our Vice President, Kamala Harris has been on your side fighting for you every step of the way. She's the one who took on the predators and the fraudsters. She's the one that took on the transnational gangs. She's the one who stood up against corporate greed. And she never hesitated to work across the aisle if it was right for the American people. For all the things she's done over the last 10 days, I have to tell you one of the things I'm most grateful for. She has brought the joy out in this country. Smile.
Governor Walz then talks about Vice President Kamala Harris's middle-class roots, how she worked in a McDonald's, and how Donald Trump would never even know how to work a McFlurry machine.
When I heard the McDonald's story about that she's worked at McDonald's, like so many of us growing up, took jobs to get by. The funny thing to me is, can you picture Donald Trump working the McFlurry machine? Oh, he knows us. He knows us. He couldn't work the McFlurry machine. Many of you in here did. But I have to tell you, from her first...
Governor Walz then talks about how every opportunity Donald Trump gets, he weakens our country to strengthen his own personal hand. Play this clip.
This guy is the opposite of everything here. Every opportunity he has, he weakens our country to strengthen his own hand. He mocks our laws. He sows chaos and division amongst us. And that's not even counting the time he was president.
Governor Walz then speaks about Vice President Kamala Harris's Opportunity Economy Plan. Play the clip.
Yesterday, Vice President Harris rolled out a plan to start building an opportunity economy during our first 100 days in office. Cutting taxes, not for the billionaires, but for the folks in this room in the middle class. Taking on those who will price gouge at the grocery stores and other stores. Lowering the cost of rent and the opportunity to own your own home. Continuing to cut the costs of prescription drugs that we all depend on. And just like we did in Minnesota, relieving medical debt that straps millions of people.
Governor Walz then mentions that every time these MAGAs, Trump, JD Vance, these other MAGA Republicans talk about freedom, what they mean is they want the government to be free to invade your exam rooms. We need real freedom. Here, watch this.
So look, I want to be clear because I know where I'm at and I know my family. Many of you can probably remember when Republicans talked about freedom, they meant it. They would have never turned their back on our allies. The traditional Republican Party before Donald Trump contributed much to this state and this great nation. But he's not that. Today, when they talk about freedom, they mean the government should be free to invade your exam room. Or that corporations should be free to pollute the air and water. Banks should be free to take advantage of the least fortunate. Look, in Minnesota, we respect our neighbors and their personal choices. Here in Nebraska, it's the same way. We might not make those choices for ourselves, but we live by the golden rule. And that golden rule is mind your own damn business. Mind your own damn business. Look, I know this state. I know this state, the kindness, generosity. I also know there's a libertarian bent. You don't need government to tell you about your health care. You don't need government to pick your books out that you can read. Look, folks, this becomes really personal. And for me, this idea about the healthcare decisions we make and the choices about our family, that's your family. You don't need me. You don't need Donald Trump. You don't need anyone in government telling you about your family. But that's exactly what they're doing. That is exactly what they're doing.
Just so you can take a look, compare that to Donald Trump's speech in Pennsylvania from earlier in the day as well. Play this clip.
Complains. Hey, look. Joe Biden hates her, okay? Hates her. You don't mind if I go off teleprompter for a second, do you? Joe Biden hates her. This was an overthrow of a president. This was an overthrow. They went out, I spent $100 million fighting Joe Biden.
So you can see the contrast there, folks. Hit subscribe. Let's get to 3 million subscribers together. I think we could hit 3 million subscribers by this week. Thanks for watching.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.